You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Yo, man. Just another Sunday Memorial Day weekend. Practicing my social distancing. Not like some people bowling a tournament down in South Florida this past weekend.
I hear there's several bowling tournaments going on across the country. I saw several professional bowlers, put word out on social media in one way or another that they were bowling tournaments. I know one was Kyle Troop. Stu Williams, I know, bowled a tournament this weekend. And I know who you're referring to, Rob.
Yeah, I read an interesting post by Walter Ray Williams Jr. in regards to a tournament that he bowled in South Florida that had 6 people on a pair. And according to his post, he was very disappointed in the fact that the bowling center didn't have any social distancing precautions and measures for the tournament. And it's just kind of interesting because we had Greg Tack on a few weeks ago, and he had this whole plan laid out about how he was going to do all of these social distancing precautions and take all these measures to make sure the people are safe. And here in Florida, Mike, they're beating by their own drum. I don't really know what else to say. 6 on a pair. Didn't look like there was any social distancing going at all. Looked like it was a full tournament.
Didn't look like anybody was wearing a mask either. And he Walter Ray live streamed from his Facebook page. So if you want to go back and check it out, you can go to his Facebook page and watch it, give it a look.
Yeah. So what do you think, Mike? I mean, do you have any thoughts or opinions on this? Because it's just wild. Florida just kind of feels like they're just doing whatever they really want to do. The beaches are packed, the bowling alleys are packed, and here there are bowling alleys in Chicago that aren't even open. And this bowling alley in Florida just trying to 8-game tournament with 6 on a pair. And Mike, the greatest part of the whole thing, and look, I'm not making fun of this because it's a serious situation. The pattern was called Highway to Hell. Okay, that's what they bowled on, Mike. Now, if you're gonna,
you sure it wasn't Highway to COVID? Are you sure they couldn't find that pattern in the machine?
Mike, they're bowling on a pattern called the Highway to Hell during a pandemic, and there's no social distancing measures in place.
Florida, what are you doing? Florida?
Dude, Florida.
Somebody from Florida, hit us up. David O'Sullivan, somebody in Florida, Sean Ricard, hit us up, man. What is going on?
God, it's wild.
It's funny, Rob, because I talked to Stu, last night. I just checked in with him, just say, hey, how did your tournament go? And he texted me back saying, oh, I qualified here. I said, listen, I wasn't really interested in the bowling. I wanted to know about this, just what was in place and what it was like. And he said it was business as usual, man. No mask, no social distancing. So, obviously I think where you are in the country is going to affect what the response is and how far people are taking things at this point. Some places are more locked down still. Other places seem to be opening up. But hey, listen, we'll see. I found it interesting that the comments to Walter Ray's comment, or what I wanted to comment on. Everybody gives me a hard time about not being on Facebook. This is the type of shit why I'm not on Facebook. Because if I was on Facebook, I don't know if I could help myself to respond to some of the idiocy and lunacy on there. Okay?
So let's go. What do you got?
So I'm not even going to name names. People can go and check out the comments themselves. One person says, if you're uncomfortable being out in public, then you shouldn't be out in public. I spoke to a husband of a nurse and a cardiologist today who both said that the mask is for your perception of safety, as the mask means nothing without additional PPE. I mean, see, that's the problem with Facebook. Everybody's an expert. Everybody heard from a nurse of a friend of a cardiologist or something, and then they want to tell Walter Ray how to do things. And like, do you really think that by going and posting on somebody's Facebook that you're actually going to change their mind? Do you think somebody's going to see a meme and say, oh, I see the light now, I'm going to change my opinion on that or change my way of doing things? It's nonsense. So, I mean, it was just crazy. And one other person said, in my opinion, if you were worried about social distancing, you shouldn't have come. I mean, what kind of attitude is that? Isn't it up to the people running these events and the people in charge of these things to respect the opinions or wishes of everybody, or at least not, if they're not going to, at least put word out there? I mean, some of what I read here said that there were only, it was supposed to be limited entries, then it was opened up at the last second, and it was somebody else criticized Walter Ray for only wearing his mask when he was done. I mean, it's just this
determined directors.
This is lunacy, bro. These people are Looney Tunes.
Determined directors. They see all these people waiting to bowl with all these lanes and pairs open, and then they just decided, screw it. Like, I'm not gonna, let's just bowl. And everyone probably around determined directors were probably just like, oh, we'll just bowl. It's not a big deal. Like, I mean, it's just. Like, dude, and you're right, though. Like, you're not going to change anybody's opinion on social media. And I get into that battle with political posts all the time. So you're telling me, like, if I'm on one side, extreme one side, or the other side, Mike, if I'm seeing opposite of you, and you put a post up there and you tell me something, regardless of what you tell me, facts or not facts, am I going to change? You're not changing my opinion. It's a conviction. A conviction is hard to, it's impossible. So people get into fights, and something my father always told me, Mike, and I'll take this till I die. You can't fight crazy. You just can't fight crazy, Mike.
Yeah, well, listen, this is why I'm not going to be at a bowling event for a while, and I also thought through all the conversation there and reaction to his post, I thought about what this means again, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but what it means for competitive bowling going forward and league bowling going forward. I mean, we're only 6 on a pair, and usually that's standard for a league, right? At a minimum, it's 4 or 5, even more. So, yeah, it makes things really tough, and it's going to be that way for a while. But listen, you ain't going to see me at a competitive bowling event for a long time because of this reason, because people have their own opinions and they're going to do things the way that they want to do them. And I may not agree with that, and I can't force them to do them my way, So yeah, I have the choice to stay home.
The way the country is going right now, this thing is not going away anytime soon, honestly. Like, people are just going out now. They felt like, oh, it's over. Let's just go back to our lives, and that's their decision. But obviously, it's going to be interesting, to say the least, to see how this pans out in the next couple months, because it could send the country into a tailspin, a second wave, a third wave. God only knows what, or everybody could be okay and fine, and then it just kind of goes back to normal. I mean, there's just so many different ways of this is going, and everyone has their own choice of how to deal with it. So yeah, one of my friends was like, hey, my friend's having a get together tomorrow. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm just going to chill, whatever. And then next thing I know, I see on his Instagram, they're playing Flip Cup, and there's 10 of them. I'm just like,
yeah, my neighborhood, over yesterday and today, you can kind of tell who's concerned about it and who's not. The people who aren't, they have volleyball nets set up in front of their houses and numerous cars. And listen, I'm not criticizing. If that's your approach, go right ahead. That's fine.
Sure.
I'm not coming. I'm not going to be hanging out.
I'll chill for a little bit.
My family in the driveway by ourselves, and that's about it. But I did go down to my mom's yesterday, actually, for the first time in a while, down to Philly, and did some work around her house. We didn't really interact all that much. I just did what I needed to do, cleaning up her yard and stuff like that. So, yeah, you can definitely tell very easily. So I think keep your distance if you have concerns, right? Because we're going to see more of these things, not only through bowling, but in other situations as well.
Man, by this time you should be a pro housework person. Is there a housework tour you can go on?
I already am. Listen, when you man up and buy a house, Okay, a real house with like a lawn and stuff to do. You'll find out. You laugh,
Okay.
but you'll find out. Yeah,
What, I mean, you go to your mom's to do housework.
no,
You
a
know, you
house is
go.
never-ending work, and
Yeah,
my mom, the house that I grew up in, it's it's not a lot. There's not a lot
sure.
of grass and property. It's pretty easy for me to do. My house now is a lot of work, but yes, I am a housework pro, Rob. If you need some advice about something, you know who to call, bro. I got you.
Maybe Philly will open up a housework arena. Like they're about to open up a
Esports,
esports,
esports arena,
which is
right?
what's going to transition into our next interview here for the people.
Yeah,
But yeah,
so we did this interview a little while back, right? About a week or so ago, maybe even two. And we've mentioned to people on other shows that we have some bank content that we're looking forward to putting out, and this was one piece of it. So had an interaction on Twitter through the Sam Rothstein of Sweep the Rack, PJ Haggerty, and he was having a back and forth with the guy we're gonna do the interview with tonight, and that's Ray Lucier, also known as Rambo Ray. And we got to talking a little bit back and forth. I said, hey, if you want to come on Sweep the Rack, hit us up. He hit us up. So yeah, we wanted to welcome him on. He's a very, very accomplished regional player. Also bowled for his country of Canada. Is a very accomplished bowler up there. But Rob, he's even more well known as a gamer, and we'll get into that in the interview that we have for the people. So yeah, we're gonna move it on and let the people check that interview, Rob, and hopefully they enjoy it. It's a good one.
It is. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so Rob, if I were to ask you, what person who's involved in the bowling community at a high level has the strongest social media game, strongest YouTube game, strongest Twitter game, strongest Instagram game? Who would you say, Rob? Come on, who's the obvious answer?
Yeah, Jason Belmonte.
And you're wrong. Okay, you're wrong about that. The person that has the real strongest social media game that's involved in bowling in a real way at a high level is our guest tonight, and that's a young guy that goes by the name of Ray Lucier. He's from Canada, and Rob, besides being involved in bowling at a really high level, and we'll talk about that in the interview, he's also one of the best Call of Duty players in the world, from what I've read, if I've done my research correct, and he's actually made a living out of being a professional gamer. So I made a connection with him on Twitter through PJ Haggerty. Shout to PJ, the Sam Rothstein of Sweep the Rack. Okay. So when I made that connection, I asked him if he would want to come on the show, and he was game. So Rob, I hit him up, and we're going to welcome him on Sweep the Rack. So let's bring him in.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Ray, how are you, man? Thank you for the time tonight. We greatly appreciate you taking the time with us to chop it up a little bit. I guess start where we start with all of our guests. You're a bowler. You're involved in bowling at a high level. Give us your background as a bowler, man.
So I started bowling when I was really young. My whole dad's family was into it. So I kind of got into bowling when I was 2 years old. In Canada, in Quebec specifically, we have like small pin bowling, which is like the little tiny balls, and the pins have rubber around them and ropes, all that fun stuff that Americans are like, wow, what is this? This is terrible. You have ropes on pins? I mean, we've seen a couple of those on the States so far with big pins, but yeah, it's kind of got into bowling. I did down till I think it was 7, and then my dad was a huge bowler, so he used to bring me to his leagues on his stroller. So I got to watch it when I was a young age. So I kind of grew into it, and it was awesome. And I started bowling when I was a kid. I got involved in league around, I think I was 7 or 8. I actually grew up bowling with, I don't know if you know Mark Buffa. He went to Wichita State, great bowler. And I got to bowl like the Canadian National Championships are basically our Team Canada qualifier for juniors and adults. We're all mixed into one. I got to bowl with DMAC and George Lambert and all those kind of awesome bowlers, Frankie included. Frankie was a little younger than I was, Lavoie. I just kind of got into it when I was young, started getting good at it. I was actually kind of seeking out to go professional into it. When I was about, I think it was 19 in a few months, I got sick to a point where I couldn't bowl anymore. And then I was already playing video games at the time. So I kind of flourished into the gaming side more so than the bowling. And I kind of quit bowling for 7 years. And I picked it up again a few years ago, started bowling, kind of fulfilling my PBA dream. Got my card, started bowling these PBA events, bowling the big guys, and that was a lot of fun. I bowled some regionals. That's kind of how I met PJ. The guys you were shouting out. I played some regionals in the West Coast. My first year, I bowled 2 events the first year I tried it out. Then I joined a PBA, won rookie and player of the year in the West region. My first year, won 2 events, beat Jacob Butler for my first title, which is pretty awesome. There's actually a video down on my Instagram. I had to double in the tent because he talked crap and I just went off. So it's actually a lot of fun. I'm sure you guys are going to be into that one.
Love it.
Yeah, he like just a small story since we're talking about it. He basically we were kind of even. I was up I think 5 pins and he was going up first in the tent. He threw the first one. After he came back on the second one, he said, "Earn it!" And he yelled at me and pointed at me. I was like, "Okay, big time, boy. Let's see it." And I mean, I love that kind of stuff. Like it's just it drives me crazy. That's one of the reasons why I did gaming for a living. But yeah, I threw the first one kind of nice, and I just flushed the second one, and I actually said a bad word, which was cut out of the video. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I effing earned it. Come on. And I just kind of, and a couple of people in the crowd's jaws dropped. Oh, no, I was like, oh, what did I say? What did I do? I apologize to everyone after. But it was a cool story. And then, yeah, no, I kind of bowled a bunch of good bowlers out there. Darren, the Tangs brothers were bowling those regionals. So kind of got my feet wet in some competitive stuff. I bowled the World Series, I think it was in 17 in Reno. And that was my first kind of full PBA event. I bowled the Masters earlier that year, but I guess I think it's a PBA event, right? Master, but it's like a more like open thing, anyways. But I got my card, bowled the World Series of bowling, and that was for those who don't understand what pros go through, like 40 games with 2 practice days in between. So you basically practice day 10 games, practice day 10 games, 10 games. That is like an absurd amount of bowling. My body was not ready for that beating. And yeah, the last day, I ended up making a cut and ended up bowling Belmo, and we could stop the story there. That's it.
So yeah, you gave us a lot to.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of went off a little bit there.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Listen, we're all about it, man. We love the bowling talk. We love all the chat. Rob, anything specific you want to follow up with from all that, or?
Yeah, if you wouldn't have gave it back to Butchiff when you doubled, I would have been really disappointed. And
I would have been disappointed myself, dude. I would have been pissed. I would have been like, yeah, guy opened this mouth. I gotta come. Like I got my gamer background. I gotta pounce on that. You want to talk? All right, guy, let's go. I love Jacob though. It was all fun and games. He shook hands after.
Yeah, he's a good guy, Butchiff. But so you made a cut at the World Series then.
Yeah. So it was basically the 4 days. There's like 4 patterns.
Yeah.
I could not bowl the gutter to save my life, so I did absolute crap on the cheetah. That's when they turned cheetah into a hard pattern. I think it was the year before that. So I didn't do any well for the World Series, like the cumulative event.
Yeah.
But the 42-foot scorpion pattern, I threw a Sherlock with 500 grit on it for like the 10 games. Did not have to change balls once and just had to move left a little bit. I shot like I think 320 over for the 10 games. Ended up making a cut in 12th or 13th. The way it worked back then was a best of 5 and a best of 3, and then you made the show. So I bowled Zeke Bate in my first match. I beat him 3-1, and then I had to bowl Belmo, which was he's something.
Give the people an inside look on what it's like for somebody like you who high level bowler but doesn't have that PBA experience to go in, make a cut, and you got to bowl one of the best ever.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. Like, I mean, I was just there for the experience. Like, you're coming. I'm the guy who just kind of got in the field because I got my card and I had a rep behind me and the spot opened up. And they were like, oh, this guy's got a lot of followers. Let's get him on here. It was almost like because that's the year Mookie bolted as well. Like Mookie shot. It's another funny story with that coming up. But yeah, during the qualifying section, I'm just there having fun. Like I'm meeting a ton of guys. I get to kind of get Frankie back on my page because me and Frankie used to bowl juniors together some events. We're in a different age category, but we knew who we were and we still talked because we were kind of successful bowlers in our area. So it was nice to kind of get to talk to him again. I made buddies with other bowlers who were into video games. Matt Sanders, I was actually rooming him for that event. And I met Stu. I met like a bunch of really kind of fun guys that kind of took me under their wing. And it was just a lot of fun to kind of have a perspective to see what those guys go through because it's just something. Like a lot of league bowlers just don't understand the difficulty of what these guys go through. And some of the patterns are a little soft, but still, like it's not easy. And the changes that the lanes go through at a PBA event are absolutely anything like what you see in your league or any local tournaments for the matter. Even regional PVMs, it's not comparable.
Yeah, it's a problem, honestly, in the game. I think.
I agree.
The average bowler has no idea that what people at that level are competing on is just so much in a different realm than what they're competing on that they can't even grasp it. I mean, it's just completely different. So yeah,
we should definitely talk about it later because Call of Duty, the game I play or the game I used to play, now coach professionally, deals with the same issues.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So my follow up to all that is listen, this guy is a serious bowler. Okay. So, if you want to look and say, it's a video game thing. No. This guy plays the game at the highest level. He's been out there, member of Team Canada, Youth Team Canada for a few years. Did you have any success there, Ray?
Yeah. I mean, I did okay. So I kind of got screwed, which kind of sucks because back then the youth age category was 23 and under for World Championships. And the first year I made I think it was the second year I made the U team was the World Championship year. So it was in Orlando. And I just turned 18 going to bowl. And I was bowling like Don Barrett and all like John Zerbinski's. Those guys are like in their 22s. So they obviously had a lot more experience than I did. I actually shot at 299 at that World Youth event. But I didn't do that great. I think, again, the short will just mess me up. I think I finished like 50th overall out of like 250 bowlers that showed up. And my team was that strong, so I didn't really do much in team event and doubles. But yeah, it was. I think I went to also El Salvador for the Tournament of Americas, and I also bowled. I can't remember. There was like two. There was the TFA and then the PAPCON or something like that. So one of them was in El Salvador, and then I think the TFA is the one they have in Orlando. And actually, it was 2 weeks after the World Youth. They actually asked the two guys, me and Matt Damon. I don't know if you guys know him or not. Not the actor.
I know the actor.
Yeah, not him. But he's a bowler from Western Canada. And then they asked us to stay and bowl for the adult side, the TFA, because we didn't get, because I guess the adults couldn't come out or something like that. And I got to bowl against Del Ballard and David Haynes. And Del Ballard's always been a huge fan of that guy. I mean, the YouTube videos I used to watch growing up, obviously the gutter ball kind of sticks out, but still he's someone I looked up to for a while. And then I got to meet him, and like he's kind of the guy that got me on Storm too. So super appreciative of that human being. He's a great dude. And David actually one of the guys that ended up bowling a lot of regionals against, because he's in Vegas, so he bowls a lot of Western stuff. And I the first time I met him, I was like, I don't know if you remember me, man, but like 10 years ago, we bowled this tournament together. He's like, I bowled a lot of games. I don't remember. I'm like, oh well, whatever. But it's super cool to just. I've always been the kind of in the bowling world. I've never been like a top guy outside my like kind of local area. But I've always just kind of appreciated like the underdog kind of facet of it, because in the gaming world, it's kind of the opposite for me. And I kind of like just coming out and like, who the hell is this guy? I love that. I love that feeling, because I'm like, yeah, they don't know, but I'm actually pretty decent at this, or even a little better than they think. So
yeah,
it's cool.
To speak to that a little bit, like I watch a shitload of bowling, and I haven't missed a World Series, and I've been on extra frame and flow bowling from the beginning. And I remember when you first hit the national scene, because I remember seeing your name and saying, "Yo, who the hell is this?" Like, because usually at those tournaments, the guys that make the cuts are the familiar names. You don't see somebody that you've never, either you've heard of them in college bowling or through some other way, and really wasn't familiar with your name at all. So yeah, I did a little research, and so yeah, okay, you weren't coming out of nowhere. I'll put it that way. So yeah, let's transition over and let's talk a little bit about your professional gaming background.
Just real quick, I don't want to cut you off, but there's one story I got to say with that. Just kind of the no name part. They intro the bowlers when you go into the match play round, and they didn't know what the hell to say about me. So I was a game developer, so like they made a little story about, it's Ray Lucier. He's a game developer. If you want to know anything about Call of Duty, he's your guy. I'm like, okay. It was the funniest, like, weirdest intro. I was like, you could have said I was on Team Canada or something, or a pro gamer, not a game, because I was a game developer at the time. So they're like, oh, it was so like, I was like, okay.
Yeah, being on Team Canada is not an accomplishment to
yeah, I guess so. Haters, man.
No, you mentioned a lot of the names that come out of that area.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Those are some really heavy hitting names there. And Rob, you got the Saginaw connection there. I heard Dan McClellan's name mentioned, Francois Laveau and Patrick Gerard and some other guys there, Mark Buffa. So yeah, like there's a long line of guys who've come from that area and had a lot of success. So, definitely could have been an accomplishment that they could have thrown out there before the gaming thing. But yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, it's very popular right now. Rob is over here. He's dressed in all video game attire for this interview.
This is my Marvel shirt, but my Mega Man hat. I've been playing Overwatch a lot because
there you go. Nice.
That's
I just downloaded the new Call of Duty not too long ago because I was bored with this quarantine stuff going on. And I had kids and stuff, so I really didn't get to play a lot. But being home all the time now, I figured I'd be download it and take a look. So I've been on there playing. Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, when I was in college, we used to play Modern Warfare and just play it nonstop. And that to me, dude, that we went through so many, like, just, hopefully my mom's not listening, but cases of beer, like playing Call of Duty. And when I tell my friend, a couple of my friends who play all the time that, we have one of the best Call of Duty players on the bowling podcast, dude, they're going to freak out because, man, I used to grab that one big ass machine gun with the little freaking thing. And I used to just, I get chills just thinking about it. But I'm a big gamer myself. I mean, obviously not like anywhere near. I would love to get to your level, but I would love to hear your story about how you got into gaming and how that ends up being like a career for you. Because shit, like I would love, like I play Clash Royale all the time, man. I would love to get on Twitch with these 17-year-olds and make $1 million on Twitch playing Clash Royale. So yeah, let's hear, how'd you end up getting into Call of Duty, man? That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's interesting because most people kind of get into games because they're buddies and stuff. My grandma's actually the one that got me into video games. I was super young, and she played Mario on NES, the original Nintendo console, and played Pac-Man, all that stuff. So I was just watching her play when I was a kid, and I was captivated by it. So I started playing at a young age. I got my first online kind of shooter, I guess GoldenEye on Nintendo 64. I'm sure most gamers will kind of remember that. Played split screen with my buddies in high school. That was kind of what got me hooked. Yeah, that was a good game. And I got this game called Black Hawk Down on the PS2. It was derived off the movie. And it was a shooter that, like, actually, interestingly enough, kind of seemed exactly like Call of Duty. It was just kind of before Call of Duty time. And that's kind of the game that got me into shooters. I just got it. It's something that clicked with me. It's like, I'm not huge into gun. I'm really not like a real life gun guy or really appreciate like war to that point. But there's something about kind of the intricacies of the strategy around those games that just kind of clicked in me. And I just enjoyed from the start. I got the Call of Duty game you're talking about. I played the beta of that game. That was my first Call of Duty game. I started playing online. It's a website called Game Battles, and they basically offer like free competitions where players can just go on and make a name for themselves on the website, and then they join a team, and then you kind of get a match against another team, and then if you beat them, you get XP. And like, there's no money really involved with that side of it, but it was just fun to kind of compete and trying to get. Basically, you're playing for pride, right? You're trying to be the best player on that ladder. Kind of skipping a little bit, a year after that, I played my first kind of competitive events for money, started making a little cash. I qualified for my first ever event. It was a 2009 national championship. It was in LA. And for those who don't understand the money difference back when I played to what it is now, we showed up. We showed up to an event playing for $8,000 as a team to win. Like the first place prize was $8,000, and it's a 4-man team, so that's $2,000 each. Okay. My flight from Montreal to LA was $900. And then we ended up winning that event, which is awesome. My first ever tournament. I was super happy about it. I ended up getting taxed 39% of my winnings because I'm Canadian and it's considered gambling, and there's a 9% California tax. So I got home and I got a $1,200 check. After my personal expenses, everything, I basically broke even for winning my first ever competitive video game tournament. And now if you look at the money there is now, these kids, I mean, some of these guys are making millions of dollars. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I played professional COD for 6 years. I placed second place at the biggest tournament of the year my last 2 years, which is kind of like our Super Bowl. It's called the Call of Duty Championships at the time. And then I got dropped from my team 2 weeks after getting second in the biggest tournament of the year, which is kind of sad. And I was 25, which most people are like, "Oh, you're pretty young," but in the gaming world, you're grandpa at 25 years old. Especially at the time I kind of played in. Most of the kids I was teaming were like in their early 20s or even late teens. So I kind of got, for me, it's like a career, as a job. Some of these guys are still in high school and kind of going to school while playing. So when I saw that kind of happen, I was like, well, okay, well, there's no security in this. And a couple of weeks after I stopped competing, one of the developers that I was friends with, people who work behind the scenes for developers, told me, "Are you interested in working in the gaming industry, like as a developer, and help make the games instead of playing them?" And that struck me. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." So I moved to the Bay Area. I did like a 4-month contract, it was almost like a tryout, see if I like it, because I've never went to school. Most people go to school for that stuff, and they've never had someone like me as a player kind of come into their scene. So it's almost like, is it fun for me, and am I useful to them? Kind of 4-month period. So I helped them ship a game called Advanced Warfare. at Sledgehammer Games, and then I did my 4 months, and they liked what I was doing, and I liked doing what I was doing there. So I ended up doing that for 5.5 years until February this year. And then the Bay Area cost of life. If you guys don't understand how expensive it is to live in the Bay Area, you are poor for making low six figures out there. So me and my fiance kind of looked at our goals, and we were like, okay, well, we want a house and we want to have a kid, and we just didn't see that being feasible out there. So or about, I'd say earlier last year, I started getting offers to be a head coach for because Call of Duty franchised as a league. So now we're like any professional sport where there's city-based teams. And the money is obviously, because it's franchise and their sponsors, kind of like the thing behind me, the Empire is the team I coach. And we have big sponsors, and there's a lot more money involved in it now. So I saw that as an opportunity to kind of come back in the scene, back to my roots on the competitive side. And I was kind of known as the intellectual kind of smart player when I played. So the coaching kind of role fits me from a start point. So I ended up kind of accepting an offer, got the visa stuff done because I'm Canadian and it's annoying. And I moved to Dallas. So now I'm in Dallas, living much cheaper. Well, actually, I'm paying kind of the same, dude. I was paying $2,000 a month for a studio out there, which is absolutely insane. I wasn't even downtown or anything. Like, now I'm living in the heart of downtown Dallas, paying like the same price for 2.5, and it's awesome, man. It's been cool getting back in the scene. My team's won two of the first 3 events that I've helped them since I joined the team. We won the first event, and we got, I think, third of the second one, and we just won our last event last weekend. So I've been successful already doing what I'm doing, and I'm really excited about it. So it's been a lot of fun. Sorry if that was a lot, but yeah,
Mike, look at those sponsors.
I could have went way more in depth. Yeah,
look at those sponsors in the back.
Corsair is basically peripherals, computer peripherals. Jack in the Box, I'm sure you guys know. Greyhound and Jack Links, I'm sure you guys already know. So
some serious sponsorship there, Rob.
Yeah, that's what we got to talk bowling about, how that could.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back around to the bowling in a few here.
Totally, I got so much to talk about on that.
First of all, it blows my mind. Like, it just blows my mind that people are making money playing video games. Like, if I would have been able to say that shit to my parents when I was a kid, who knows where my life would have went? Because I had no answer for them when they would say, well, what are you spending all this time on this shit for? This isn't good. If I would have been able to say, hey, listen, one day people are going to be making $1 million doing this shit, might have been a different story. It was probably a little bit before my time. But, yeah, Ray, I mean, it really just like I said, blows my mind that people are out there doing it like that. Talk to us a little bit about how you went from just being a really good Call of Duty player to monetizing that and making a living out of it first.
So I'm going to say this first for anyone who's aspiring to do what I did. It's kind of like professional sports where you play something for fun and you just happen to be really good at it and find out there's competitions and you throw yourself out to the wolves and see what happens. There's no kind of there's no guarantee. Like, I could be like, there's some college football players that are really good, but just don't have what it takes to perform at the highest level, and then just kind of get stuck in the weeds and just never really make it out. And it's the same thing for video games. It's no difference on that front. So when I first started playing, it was just I'm competing for free. I'm having fun. Oh, there's like this small tournament where you can make $100. Let me try this. Oh, I want it. Okay, this is great. Let me play for a little more and see if there's anything that's bigger I can play. And then it just so happens that you kind of grow into it. And if you're a smart individual and understand to do the things that you need to do to win these tournaments, then you kind of have a chance at getting out there and making it a big time. It's a lot harder now than it used to be when I started, because the community, there's so many more people that are trying to do it. 1, and then 2, it's just a lot more kind of restrictive. When I competed, there was open events where there's like 250 teams of 4 players that are showing up in one location to play a tournament, which is like, that's a lot of people. But now there's 12 teams in the league with contracted players, and the only way to get on those teams is to really show that you're special. And there's not really a good place to show that you're special beyond like those small tournaments they're doing on the side. So it's kind of like, it's almost like trying to join a pro team, and you got to go through the farming system of the Contenders League and hope that you prove that you have what it takes. There's been a few players that have done it already, but you really have to be special to do that.
I was going to ask, like, how do the players get identified?
So yeah, it's difficult. So for example, like back in my day, I mean, I don't need to say back in my day, that's pointless, but like the way like to answer your monetizing question first, people do streaming on Twitch. That's one way people make videos on YouTube. Those are kind of like the 2 main avenues where people can make money, not just from competing, but also just by showcasing their gameplay. Like, I was one of the first streamers from Call of Duty that transferred over to Twitch when they first started Twitch. It was called Justin TV before that. And back then it was just like, let's say you have 2,000 viewers, you run an ad for like 30 seconds and you make like whatever, I think it was like a cent or 2 per view of the ad. So if you had a lot of viewers, you could make some coin if you're running, like, let's say 30, 40 ads per hour or whatnot. I would make about $2-3 a month on a good month. So just running ads on my Twitch stream. So that was kind of like my base money. And then whatever I made competing was like the plus side of it. And I was always like, my teams are always pretty much at the top. So I was kind of had some basis of kind of income coming my way. But yeah, like nowadays, like the best way to get yourself out there again is to probably stream your own gameplay, go on Twitch and play these big tournaments, the biggest amateur tournaments they offer at a Contenders League. And I think they're pretty occurring. They're like every other week now, I think. So you make a team of 5 players now, and you go on play a tournament, and you hope that you do well. I'm pretty sure it's free entry to get in those. So it's not like you have to, and because of the coronavirus right now, normally those events are happening at the locations at which the pros compete. So you have to actually travel. But right now, because the whole virus thing and even the pro scene's online, then it's actually the easiest point of access for people is just to play from home. So you don't have to travel and spend the money, because it's hard to get for trying to explain to your, like, imagine me when I was working part-time making money. So my $900 flight went pretty easy when there's like, it's your money, do what you want with it. But yeah, like it's pretty hard to go up to your parents and be like, hey, can I get $800 to go somewhere and play video games? Like, excuse me?
I can tell you,
I know what I want to do for a living.
That shit, because I play Call of Duty online. Like I said, I just downloaded it, and it's amazing how good some people are. I mean, it is.
You're not even playing, and these are nobodies you're playing against.
I know
exactly.
No, it's like I'm still blown away by how good they are. So then I follow Ray on Twitter, and he tweeted out some stuff over the last couple of weekends about the competitions that he talked about that his team won. So I went on to check out the videos. I mean, they're about 5 hours long, some of them. So
they're streamed. Yeah, it's basically like a day stream, and it's the whole event is on the day. You can skip through most of it. Most of it's just kind of jibber jabber. And there's like a fifth of it is playing, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, I did. I went and checked it out, and I watched a little bit of his team compete, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like these guys ain't even playing the same game.
It's
like,
not.
This ain't even the same game I'm playing." I, for one, want no parts of that whatsoever. Ray, you said that you had a team who dropped you after you in the world.
Yeah, we got second at the biggest tournament of the year when we were like there was some weird kind of team changes that led into that event. It was a 2014 World Championship, Call of Duty Championship, and we two players in the team thought they had a better chance of winning the following events without me on the team, and then the other guy kind of got stuck making the decision, and that got me kicked off the team. So, and it's different. So now people are contracted, so now players play for an organization. But back then it was basically like us three make a team. We get PJ to come play with us, and us four go to a tournament, and if we do well. We kind of hit up sponsors like Empire. We're like, Empire's an organization that has X and X sponsor. We're like, yo, Empire, can you guys want to sponsor us? We're a good team. We have a chance to win a tournament. We'll get you some more sponsors because we're going to do well. And that's kind of how it worked back then. But let's say, Mike, bro, you sucked this tournament. You played really bad. Mike, you're off the team. We're picking up Mike Fagan. Mike Fagan, he's got more hair than you. He's a better looking man. He bowls better. You just got everything. So Mike Fagan's on the team. But now you're out, right? Just because you didn't play well, and me and Rob were like, we don't like Mike anymore. Mike talked bad about us.
Mike talks shit all the time.
Yeah, Mike talks shits, dude. We don't like that guy. So it was basically like it was almost like friends, kind of picking friends and whatnot.
Right.
Some players were, which is, I mean, it's not the way it should be, but that's kind of how it was. And it was at a very young stage, and the kind of the way esports and everything worked. And it's kind of now getting into that professional kind of stage where players and contracts and everything going on is much more formalized. So yeah, I was like the oldest player. The players on my team thought I was kind of losing it, and they were like, "Yeah, we feel like we have a better chance to win a tournament with someone else." And then they dropped me.
And the player that dropped me, he's losing. He's like, he's 25. He's
losing his skills.
He's But Mike, I'd imagine that these Call of Duty players, like you can't miss. Like that's got to be so much pressure. Like you can't miss. Like Mike, like you should see me shooting my gun. I'm just like all over the place.
So just picture the thing you're really good at, and you just don't even have to think about it. That's how professional. It's just like professional athletes, like Tom Brady throwing a football. It's just like he sees someone, his brain just knows, boop, and it goes to wherever he basically wants it to be. Right. So it's no different for me playing Call of Duty when I was at my professional level. It's just really the things I'm seeing in the game and my abilities of what, like the control. I'm like one with the controller, for lack of a better term. Like my thumbs are moving, and I point my things wrong. I'm not even thinking about it. It's happening. The difficulties and intricacies of being a pro gamer are really in your head. it's like playing chess to a point. And that's the thing that people don't see. And I'm sure you can segue that into the conversation you wanted to have earlier, but it's really like the difficulties and differences that people don't understand when they watch Pro Call of Duty is because you don't understand them unless you really know what's going on. And it's comparable to bowling in that front.
Honestly, when I watched the videos, I felt like, man, I'm not grasping or comprehending what's going on here, really. And I felt that way. But again, like I'm only like an average player, and I do appreciate that analogy to bowling because there are some real similarities there. Ray, how much time is someone, when you were at your height of your, you said you're coaching now, you were gaming before, these guys who are at the top of the gaming world right now, what kind of time, hours-wise, are they putting in practicing on these games?
So it really depends. I think it varies. Like when a game, because for Call of Duty specifically, we play a new game every year because the game comes out every year. So we have one of the, I mean, it's fun because the content changes, but it's also something, there's always like small changes they make to the game in the mechanics. So you have to kind of readapt to them. So when a game first comes out, these kids, all these players are probably spending like 50, 60 hours a week at the very minimum playing when the game first comes out to really kind of make sure that they stay ahead of the curve. And it's just like, I mean, it's like anything in life, right? If you, let's say me and Mike are like, okay, we're going to start running for a living. If I'm spending my time training and doing things 10 hours a day while you're doing it for 2 hours a day, you're not going to be able to compete. Like you just can't. So it's kind of the same thing in gaming. It's really a matter of like when a game first comes out for the first month and a half, I'd say it's like very, very kind of time consuming. As time goes on, you don't have to spend as much time anymore because you've kind of grasped the understanding that you need to have to be able to play the game at the highest level. But like our team, like just as a basis, like our team right now, we have a few weeks off before our next event, but like, let's say the week leading up into the event, we're playing for like 8-9 hours a day, practicing. We play like 3 sets of, they call them scrims, which is like us versus another team that's competing. And we practice, we play all the modes and the games and the maps that can be played at the tournament. So yeah, we play like 3 of those on a day. So it's, it can vary between like, normally they're like 2 hours each, 2.5 hours each. So, and we spend like at least I'd say 30 to 45 minutes a day kind of watching videos and making sure, just like professional athletes, kind of watching VOD and making sure that we see the mistakes we're doing and we're able to fix them by talking about them and really kind of getting that stuff unlocked. Because one of the most important things, just like any team sport, is all being on the same page. And that's the team aspect of gaming is one thing that's kind of underrated. People don't really understand.
Yeah, I could play 8-9 hours a game a day. I'm working from home now, so I pretty much do it right now while I'm working. So
don't tell your boss.
Hopefully they're not watching this. But no, I'm just kidding. But that's amazing. And I'd imagine like you guys like swing it back to bowling, right? Belmont, we've had pros on here before, right? And these guys have talked about they practicing 100, 150 games a week. So I mean, you could imagine, like you said, the World Series of bowling, right? You bowl 10 games a day, practice 10 games. To you, 40 games felt like you were run over by a truck, right?
Oh, 100%. I had to take an ice bath for the first time in my life. I was feeling it.
I know, like for me, the same thing. And I used to bowl that much too, but like, it's still like your back hurts, like especially your lower back, your feet, you feel like almost like an 8-month pregnant woman, right? After you bowl.
I don't know what that feels like. I hope I don't have to.
That's how I felt. My lower back hurt, my wrist hurt.
What that feels like, I can tell you that.
But I'm just like comparing it. But like as for like video games too, that's the same. It's the same comparison. You know what I mean? So like you guys are playing 8, 9, 10 hours, 11 hours a day. Like I couldn't even like imagine like having to like play a tournament. Mike, I would love to see a video, and this is something like the pro gamer like arena where they bring in someone like me or you who's an average player and just throw us in there and see. I would probably be running, like I would just be on like L sprints the whole way through the map trying not to get hit.
You would
and
die
I guarantee you I wouldn't last more than 15 seconds.
You would not even that 5, I think. I'd give you 5 seconds.
I would just be running off.
But it's, like for gaming, it's not really the physical aspect. It's more the mental aspect that's difficult. Like because you're spending that much time in front of a screen. There's kind of a lot of things to process in a day when you're trying to learn things, especially. So It's not like, again, your fingers, like a lot of people, oh, his fingers must hurt and all that stuff. Like some people hold the controller weird. That kind of can hurt your fingers a little bit. But for the most part, these controllers are not really good and comfortable. So you really, I mean, if the way you sit is bad, you get bad posture. But beyond that, it's like the physical aspect of gaming obviously isn't really a big thing. Yeah, it's really more what goes on between your ears that's really kind of straightening. And
just like bowling, right, Mike?
Yeah, no, listen, it's funny because Ray just mentioned a couple things. And like, as bowlers, we're all bowlers here, and you tell people you bowl, and you always get those like dumbass questions that come along with telling people that you bowl. Like,
you're an athlete? It's a sport?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, there's different balls. Oh, what are they? Different size? I mean, so yeah. Like,
what's that slippery thing on the lane? I stepped over the foul line once and I fell on my bum.
Yeah. Do you dress like the dude from Big Lebowski? Is that how you dress?
Do you have a towel?
I was going to be that guy. But be that guy on the side of asking about the gaming, right? Yeah. So like when I saw that he was a coach for a professional gaming team, I was going to say, "Oh, Ray, like, what does that involve? You have to go and get the guys snacks and maybe like pack their bomb for them while they're getting ready for the next round." I don't know, like." So, yeah, I wanted to be that guy, but you know what? I won't be that guy.
I can tell you it's really not that crazy of the kind of an answer. I'm like the Bill Belichick, right? Like I'm just a guy who's not physically doing anything that players are doing. I just understand and see things that they might not see right away. And I see things from a different perspective. So I can teach them and learn or help them learn things that they're not necessarily seeing from the first person point of view. So like, for example, I'm there for all the practices. I watch them play. I can choose to see their individual point of view, or I can see an overview of the map and it just shows little arrows. So it's almost like X and O's, and I can see where the little arrows go. And then like we play 3 different modes. We play hard point, which is like a king of the hill for just kind of basis. And then that mode specifically, the basis of the mode is to just stay on that kind of place on the map, and it moves 5 times. But the more you stay on it, you accumulate time to win the game. So, but kind of the deep part of it is that the spawns where players kind of, when they die, they come back to life. That's the kind of the basis of the mode. That's kind of the strategy around the game, is to make the other team spawn as far away from that point as possible. So
Mike, you can't compare yourself to Bill Belichick for gaming, because my first question is going to be, so how many cheat codes do you have for Call of Duty?
Oh, you're not a Patriots fantasy. Okay.
Oh, no, I'm a New Yorker through and through, man.
Yeah. But basically, it's just the basis of what's going on. I can see from a different perspective, and they don't see that. They know those things by playing. Like the more you repeat, and it's kind of like bowling, where in practice, I'm trying to find the line. I'll throw a ball 10 times in a different spot, but slightly different, to really get the best angle of the pocket and see how the pins fall. So it's basically, imagine I was someone that's watching every bowler in the house try different lines, and then I can see who's using the best line. Let's say I can go to my bowler if I was a Storm rep or a rep of any kind and tell my bowler, Bello, you should bowl here because there's a ton of friction near the gutter there. So do that and you're going to be golden. So it's kind of the same basis for being a coach. I'm like seeing things from a different perspective. And because of my knowledge in the gaming, or just Call of Duty in general, and my understanding of the games at a high level, I can help them try and mold and make sure that they're all on the same page and everyone has the same understanding so they can compete at the highest level and be basically trying to help them have an edge over other teams on the knowledge front. And that's kind of the basis of what I do. So it's mostly just watching and talking. Like I'm just communicating what I see and what I think is going on. And I try and help the players really kind of get on the same page of everything that I teach and everything that they see as well. Because obviously the players are smart human beings too. They know what's going on. So when we have conversations, I'm like an arbitrator almost in some cases, but that's kind of the basis of it. And then, yeah, we have a manager and all this other stuff for like the pampering and buying snacks and all this stuff. Well, no, it's like we're like, there's a team of like, let's say 8-9 guys that kind of, there's 5 players. We have 2 subs and we have me and a manager that kind of go to events and yeah, it's just, again, it's like super comparable to real sports. It's not that much different. It's just, we don't move our legs and our arms to do what we do. We just move our hands and our thumbs.
Sounds like college bowling, Mike.
Yeah, right. I mean, with serious money though, with serious money mixed in, let's not forget about that. So yeah, and let's transition back to bowling a little bit and talk about that, because all this esports stuff has come to rise over the last decade or so. Is it fair to say that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so this is something that's rather new, right? As you said before, when you first started out in that area, the money was nowhere near what it is now, and things are constantly expanding. So clearly, we know why video games have captured the popularity. It's because people love video games. They love to play them. It's almost part of everybody's youth today, I would say, as a teacher.
100%.
See, anyway. So I guess the conversation I want to have, or what I'd like to hear you talk about, is you bowl, you see bowling, you understand the position that game's in. You've seen the rise of esports and the popularity of that, and the money grow, and the sponsorships grow, and what it's turned into. How do we in the bowling community even project ourselves a little bit down that road of success?
So it's difficult because bowling's been around for a long time, and it had some success. I'm like in the 70s, 80s. It seemed like it was pretty popular. There's kind of events going on almost every weekend. There's like a tour where it's like 27 weeks, 30 weeks a year, where there's people constantly traveling. So it's like comparing it to games is a little more difficult. Like gaming's been around, at least competitive games been around since like the early 2000s. There's a game called Counter-Strike, which is still around to this day. There's StarCraft in Korea, which is really big. And those scenes were kind of already there. And then these other games, like console games specifically, kind of made their growth. Halo, Call of Duty, and some other games kind of started going up. And then I'd say about like kind of what you said, like 10 years ago, a bunch of kind of new games that were built around more, like games back then were just games that were built for fun. And then people competed on them. So it wasn't like necessarily like, it's not like a football game was made and like, oh, people are going to compete on this. There's going to be 10 guys, and those guys are going to battle it out to see who wins the money. Like like Call of Duty, for example, is just a game that was made for shooting and have fun, but a community of people who took it really seriously decided to try and compete on it. And that's kind of how things grew from that. I think bowling from a standpoint is, again, different because we've had growth, but also because of the level of seriousness that the casual, like the average bowler goes into bowling. There's like a misunderstanding almost of what players are trying to achieve. Like it's a weird realm where back in the day, this is again me speculating, but from what it seems like, because of the amounts of people that are watching on TV and in person and the way people were taking it, the seriousness level of when I entered bowling casually was to try and emulate the professionals. I got into bowling. I see Mark Roth throw a ball. He threw whatever 400 RPMs, which was like fucking through the roof back then. Everyone's like, oh my God, this ball's going to hook off the lane. And it's like, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I want to be that guy. This is the guy that I'm excited about to watch. I'm going to watch him, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to try and do the same thing. I'm going to try and bowl and do as well as I can. Maybe someday I can be like him. Now bowling nowadays, for the most part, at least from the casual standpoint, they have no fucking idea who Belmo is. Like even from the casual, like Belmo's the most popular bowler. If you go into bowling, there's most likely a picture of him somewhere. Or if there's any storm thing, you'll see a picture of Belmo or any competitive, if you're in a competitive bowling environment. And a lot of people just don't understand or don't notice people. And they go there and just trying to have fun, which is fine. I'm not saying that shouldn't be a thing. But if you're a bowler who buys your own bowling ball and you still don't know that or still don't care about that, that's where the problem lies, in my opinion. Like it's weird. It's almost like some bowlers are just happy to be or content with just being good in their kind of surrounding areas and almost want to shut themselves out to the rest of the world. And that's something in video games that you can't do. Like all these esports games that are growing and these games that are built for esports, like competitive is the forefront of the game. I get on the game. There is no way I can go into a game without seeing content that are derived off this professional team. Like for example, League of Legends is a huge kind of game that's on PC. That's probably one of the biggest esports in the world. If I open the game, I see like 3 or 4 pictures of team pictures and team names and videos that lead into content from that thing, or it shows you when the next matches are being competitive on. Like I can't look at the screen without seeing anything that will tell me what is the best player kind of in the world playing. When bowling is just not really the case. Like it's almost like the culture around it has changed to a point where the average consumer just doesn't really care for being good at it, which is kind of weird. Like I don't really understand that. And I don't know if I'm sure Belmo's been on the show. I would assume so. At least I hope he has. If he hasn't, you guys got to get him on here. He's love Belmo. But did he tell you guys his pattern idea? I don't want to derive it too much.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it about different colored patterns.
Different color, yeah. Like to me, that's the kind of thing that's like visually. I get into a bowling center and I see things. I'm like, it's questions. Like I don't know what that is. What is that? And I see this thing and like even if I'm a straight ball bowler or someone just like slightly into it, I can see those things, and there's a visual representation of what the difficulty is, and that tells me automatically that there's a point in which I want to do is going to get me to here. I start on whatever blue easy pattern, and I want to get to the red or black pattern, whatever, and then that's difficult. Like I want to be good on that. That's a goal. Instead of just getting in, I'm like, oh, where's the bar? Let me go get a pint of beer and just drink, and then throw this thing down the lane and step over the line and slip over whatever that thing is called beyond the line and fall on my butt. Like,
you know what? Another. Listen, let me say something, Rob. I don't know if you agree with me here. That's one of the best answers to that question we've ever got on this show. We've interviewed some heavy hitting ass people in the bowling industry, and they should fucking listen to that answer because that's a hell of an answer right there if they're paying attention. Okay,
I know, right?
One more point I want to follow up with to that we already touched on earlier, but I want to bring it back again because I feel like it fits right into what you're saying here, Ray. The game in bowling isn't even being played the same way on all levels.
It's
the
not.
bowlers are playing one game and the professionals are playing a different game. In the esports realm, there's no way around it. You're playing the same game.
No, I won't say that. Don't lie. Don't lie. No lying. We don't lie on the show, right?
I can't. No.
No, I'm kidding.
Correct me. We always tell like it is here. But if you get up against another person in Call of Duty, you're playing Call of Duty. You're not playing two different. Now, is there a way to play two different versions? How does that work out in the game?
Okay, so here's the basis. This is not for every sports. This is specific to Call of Duty. So, for example, like League of Legends, the base game. If I go into the average regular game, the competitive, the field of play, and all the stuff that's in the game is exactly the same as a competitive environment. Okay. So if I'm playing that game, yes, that game is true. I am experiencing the same thing as the professionals are. The only difference is the person I'm playing against isn't a professional. When you play Call of Duty, the modes are different. All the stuff that's in the game is kind of butchered down. Like there's a bunch of stuff that is quote unquote banned. You can't use because it would basically ruin the competitive integrity of the game. So for example, we don't use grenade launchers because grenade launchers are noob tubes. So this would be like in the hands of a professional, it would be exploited to a point where it's not even fun to watch, or it would basically be too overpowered. Wow. So and this goes deep. Like the way we play and the modes we play and the rules we play on are so different than what the casual player plays on that the game is almost not recognizable. And that's the issue we deal with in Call of Duty. And to me, in my opinion, that's one of the main reasons why Call of Duty isn't one of the biggest esports, because Call of Duty game itself is the most sold game almost every year. I think it's been the most sold game every for like the last 7 years or 8 years. So there's no reason that the amount of people that play the game should be interested in what the pros are doing. But because it's night and day, like to a point where, like, for example, if you watch Rob play, you'll understand what's going on. He's playing team deathmatch. He's got to kill 75 kills in the other team to win the game, and everything that's a game is go. Use whatever you want. But when you play professional play, we play hardpoint. We play 3 specific modes that not everyone's interested by. All the rules for those modes are a little different to make it more competitive and kind of really kind of make players push themselves to the limit. And all the rules the stuff the game offers are different to a point where if Rob plays games like, oh, why can't I use this? Why can't I use this gun I use all the time? Or why can't I use a rocket launcher? Or why can't I use this claymore? Like there's so many things in the game that you just can't use at pro level. So yes, the game itself is the same, but what you're playing is drastically different to a point where it's almost not recognizable. So we deal with some issues that bowling deals with.
It's called nerfing, Mike. That's what happens. I know that game term is when there's something too strong and they take it out, so they nerf it. The nerfing is just change. The nerfing is the developers who take it. Like if rocket's too strong, they'll say, "Oh, instead of doing 200 damage, it does 100 damage." That's nerfing. Yeah. We just ban stuff. We just like say you. They don't even nerf. They just throw nerf. We just trash, Mike. Yeah, and it's we do that with high performance bowling balls and bowling.
And kind of to finish the point, the basis of it is that the Call of Duty as a game is built for casuals. Like it's not a game built for competitive play. We're people who are really excited about playing competitive on it and turn it into a competitive game. And because that community grew and grew, we got more and more interest and more money came into it and sponsors and so on and so forth. So it's almost like from a community standpoint, we grew it. And that kind of segues into what I feel like bowling should do, which is kind of a little more difficult because the interest isn't as high for bowling and that kind of average person. Like for say, it's easier for me to get 1 in 10 person in Call of Duty to really get into Call of Duty because there's so many people in the world that play Call of Duty than it is to get 1 in 10 person involved in competitive bowling because the bowling world isn't as big anymore, right? So it's a little harder, but I feel like there's some things that that the community in bowling can try and do and help. And there's a lot of things that we do already that hurts ourselves. And that's another thing. I think I spoke to this in another show I did. I can't remember who it was, but a lot of stuff we do is kind of rough. Again. Sorry?
What was the point?
It's kind of going away from the topic we were just talking about, but basically, I love flow bowling. Flow bowling is awesome. Creating content on different platforms like we do, where we have the USBC platform, we have flow bowling, we have Bowl TV, we have We have stuff on YouTube. We have stuff on Twitch. Like there's literally like the content. We don't have that much content, and we're fucking spread out over like 6 different websites. Like if I want to watch Call of Duty, I'm going to Twitch. I go on Twitch. There's probably like right now, I could probably tell you there's at least probably like 1,500 people that are streaming Call of Duty on Twitch. Some of them have no viewers. Some of them have 30,000 viewers. But if I want to watch Call of Duty, I know where to go. I don't have to think about it. I want to watch bowling. Okay, let's see. This week's schedule, there's this event, and I got to pay $65 to go watch. Okay, but 2 days after, the ladies are playing the USBC Queen, but that's on both. I got to pay another $6. Okay, I want to watch Brad and Kyle videos, but now I got to go on this website. Okay, I want to watch Darren stream. I love Darren. Darren's on Twitch. Okay, like, dude, like it's fucking ridiculous. Like we're literally like we're already not big to the point where why the fuck are we separating our content everywhere? Granted, some of like for example, Darren streaming makes sense because Twitch is the platform to stream on, right? I'm not saying and like we have our own, but like the fact that there's so many different places to go on, like what are we like? There's nothing to gain from that. Like everyone just I don't want to speak badly about anyone. I love the bowling community. Don't get me wrong, and I love the content all these platforms do. But like at some point in time, someone needs to be able to take a hit for the greater good. Like we need to understand that like our community isn't big enough to separate it everywhere. And if I'm a person who wants to get involved in bowling, I want to know where I want to watch it. I don't want to have to look everywhere. I just want to go to one place, pay my one price subscription, whatever, and this is where I'm going to go see bowling. And there's going to be stuff all the time because it's all in one place. The ladies are playing this weekend. The men are playing that weekend. There's the amateur tournament going on that weekend. The junior gold is going on that weekend. Like I fucking go to one place and I can see all the bowling I want. Great, sweet. Granted, there's other things that are more difficult with that. It would require a world where we all love each other and friend each other, and there's a lot of stubborn ass people. And I'm sorry, bowlers, but some of you are freaking so many egos in this world. It fucking pisses me off. But to a point where like it's super, in my opinion, it's one of the most important things we need to do is really kind of create more content that's accessible to many. And if someone is even remotely interested in watching bowling, they know where to go to see it, so that they have the ability to watch it. And like Brad and Kyle, like a prime example of like there is interest in watching other stuff of bowlers and bowlers kind of promoting themselves as personalities and really kind of helping grow the scene. And like people love Brad and Kyle. They're awesome. Like they're fun dudes and they showed that in their videos. But like I don't want to have to look for it. Just put it in my face. Like just shove it down my throat. I want bowling. Bring it. Don't make me look like my golf club. I don't want to go in the bottom of my golf bag to watch bowling. I just want to fucking see it. Sorry, excuse the language.
No,
gets me riled up.
You know, great points. All great points. Rob, stuff that we've talked about on here before.
Yeah, well, I mean, with more of the Bowl TV flow bowling, that's a big point that we've brought up before. Like, me and Mike are self-proclaimed biggest bowling fans in the world, and we don't even have Bowl TV subscriptions because I'm not paying Flow Bowling that has a yearly membership and a Bowl TV. I don't like those two platforms have to get on the same page. USBC and the PBA have to get on the same page. That's the first thing. And then we talked about this on a previous interview that we just actually did about how the owners of the bowling centers, the BPAA, the bowling proprietors need to get on the same page with the USBC, or hopefully Bolero now being, purchasing the PBA, that could bring the proprietors and the PBA together, right? And then they could go be the greater good of the sport. But the USBC and the PBA need to get along. The USBC now is only paying, $25,000 for first place majors. PBA is paying $100,000 for just regular PBA tournaments. So how is that aligned? That's all over the place. The USBC, the Masters, you have to watch on Bowl TV. The PBA, you have to watch on Flow Bowling. I mean, your points are 100% valid. And Mike, Ray, I'm super, super impressed. With everything that you're saying, seriously, it's bringing the beast out of me. About we can go on for hours talking about this shit. Seriously,
it irks me because I love I love bowling. People are like, oh, he's talking bad about bowling. He must hate it, even though he's pretty good at it. But fuck that guy. No, it's dude, I bowled as a kid. I love it. If I could, I would just fucking quit my life and bowl for a living if I really could. My thumb's fucked now. Hopefully, I can bowl again someday. I have the bowler's thumb. My ulnar nerve or some shit imploded on me last December. And this COVID thing is kind of landing at a good time because I get to heal a little bit while everyone else can't bowl. It's great. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, bad point. But yeah, no, it's just to a point where we all need to get on the fucking same page. If you ask me, dude, it's just it's ridiculous. The difficulties, the sport itself has difficulties to reach out to the youth because, like you said, the youth are kind of in the video games, just stuck to screens. nobody like there's still people out there that love bowling, and that's great. But the ability to get the youth really into bowling again is to really kind of put the forefront of bowling being a sport you can be good at. Like to me, it's just the professional aspect of it. Like any sport, like kids play football. They don't fucking just go play football to play football. They look at Tom Brady or all these kind of good players out there like, oh, I want to be that guy someday. That's the reason I play football, because it's fun and I can watch these guys and try to emulate what they do. Like that's the humanity in general likes that. Like it's the human brain wants to be good at something, and knowing that there's something out there to be good at is one of the reasons why people kind of get into these sports.
Yeah, I think you made a great point as well, just to follow up about how, there's not enough exposure of the top players in the game. You know, there's not enough exposure of the lower levels of the game to those top players. And, that's something that I think will take us in the right direction as well. Ray, last question I'm going to ask you here in terms of the connection between the bowling and the gaming worlds. Am I right or wrong in saying that there had to be a point in the gaming world where sponsors didn't take it seriously, where they kind of looked at esports and said, get the hell out of here. This shit's never going to be popular. There's no reason for us to pursue this, similar to how some sponsors might view bowling in a certain light. And is there any comparison there?
I mean, probably, honestly. I mean, it's hard to – I was never really kind of looking towards the business side of it when I first got into it. The sponsors definitely weren't the ones that are behind me when I first started. They were like small companies that are like monitors, building monitors, or doing stuff that's kind of the peripherals that the players use. And they just like most of the sponsors kind of battle out to be the showcase products at events. So like I go to a tournament, like all the monitors are this monitor, or all the controllers are this controller, or so on and so forth. So it's kind of like the basis of it was there. And then the kind of the side stuff came into it when it grew to a point where the projection of these games on these websites just grew to an amount where it's like exponential, right? Like Twitch, for example, wasn't as big when it started, but personalities came on, people started like watching it, and then it's word of mouth. Like I told Mike, and Mike told Rob, and then Rob told his 5 buddies, like, come watch this. This guy's awesome. This guy's doing stuff, and I can see it all the time, and it's dope. This guy's like shitting on people, actually, just so much fun. And it's like, but it's like those things. Like it's just like I don't understand. Like I'm kind of slightly off topic, but I don't understand how people don't get excited watching Belmo. Like there's some bowlers, I don't get it. Like they almost like look down at pros saying like these guys are either cheating or just aren't that great. Like this guy's not that good.
That is a whole nother show.
100%. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to drive through it.
No, that is.
But it's just like small, just shortly on topic, like on that topic, bowling back in the day, in my opinion, was much more like the pro bowler looked like it was much more achievable for a casual to get to than it is now. And that, to me, that's an issue. And that's not something really fixed. Like, it's just golfing, right? Like, I love golfing. I'm like almost a scratch golfer now. And I play a lot of golf. And I watched like Rory McIlroy hit a drive 340 down the middle. I'm like, I'm probably never going to be able to do that. I can do it pretty good, maybe 280, 290 if I catch one good, but probably not 340. And that's kind of like a little depressing to me almost, right? Like, it's like a feeling of like this guy's doing something that I never feel like I'll be able to achieve. And like Belmo, for example, does things with the ball that most one-handers can't do. So to like and that's the whole another discussion. Let's not have the one-hander, two-hand discussion. We're gonna be here for a long time. But just kind of the basis of like back then, like when you watch like I don't know, like Earl Anthony or those guys, like the style was pretty simple. Like I'm a bowler, I'm a casual bowler. This guy was just really fucking accurate and knew what he's doing on the lanes. But if I'm a lefty and I can have like it's not that hard to do what he was doing from a physical standpoint, right? Now it's so different. Like every sport has that kind of extra ability. And people don't necessarily respect that. And I think that's one of the bigger issues. And that's just, I don't think that's something we're ever going to be able to go around in the sport unless we just force things to be the way that they were, which I don't think is the right thing anyways. But yeah.
Ray, what's your favorite bowling ball ever, man?
Favorite bowling ball ever? It's got to be the Sherlock, dude. I've won a lot of tournaments with that ball. And that was my almost made a TV show ball until Belmo decided to throw a fucking pitch black on top of my Sherlock. Fucking kidding me? Reach his ball in his bag and he's killing my oil. Oh,
take a number, Ray. Take a number.
This guy like tripped 4 buckets in a match, man.
Oh, wait till I can't wait for when we post this interview. I'm gonna tag him too. Ray talked about how Belmo spilled 4 buckets. Oh, I'm gonna get on him too about it. Sure.
So this guy, this fucking. Oh, okay. So there's like I can't remember what it was. Was it? No, it was a TV show, like because the way they do the match plays, like it was 2 a day, so like one pattern in the morning, one pattern in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I got there earlier in the day and I watched him bowl. And he like did this turnaround 300 thing, like he was on cheat day. He threw his 12th shot and just turned around before the ball hit the pins. And he struck. He's like, I'm like, dick. No, I was like, that's I used to do that as a kid. But then he did the same thing against me to throw a strike. It was like a big strike in the middle of the game, and he ringed 10. I was like, yeah.
You gotta be careful doing that because the bowling gods, they don't, I don't think they take kindly to that kind of stuff. Ray, listen, man, this has been an awesome interview.
Amazing.
Really enjoyed having you on. We appreciate the time. Good luck with the gaming stuff. I'm definitely going to stay up on what you guys are doing with Empire, and I know that you're coaching that Dallas team there, so we'll stay up on that. And again, man, welcome to Sweep the Rack for the first time. We greatly appreciate the time, and we want you definitely to come back. There's some stuff we got to get into. You're a real one, Ray.
Oh, I talk all the time, bro. I'm a big.
Going to be Sweep the Rack official over here. So
I love it.
Anytime you guys want, for sure.
All right, appreciate it, Ray. Thanks very much. Thank you.
So, Rob, quite a more than what you would expect there, right?
Oh my goodness! Like he was saying some answers to some of the questions that we asked some big bowling people that are in this industry, and his answers were well thought out. They were educated. I mean, it was really it was refreshing to a certain point, Mike. Like that. Here's another person that we interviewed at the PBA would need to bring in as a consultant or hire him and say, look, gaming is big. I mean, look at all the kids that are coming out and bowling, and that's the demographic that bowling needs to focus on is, the 16 to 21-year-old crowd. And we talked about that, right, Mike, in a previous interview. And here these guys have, Mike, you hear the turnouts they have for these tournaments? 5 people, 400 teams.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. If you are not into the gaming scene or the competitive gaming scene and you have a few minutes to kill, go check out some of the YouTube videos for his competitive esports team, Dallas Empire. Rob, I mean, the view numbers and the way they do things, there's pre-game shows, there's post-game analysis between the matches. I mean, it's so over the top. I was so blown away. And, yeah, that's why I felt it might be interesting to have him on to hear that perspective from somebody who's in a different area and has seen it grow and has seen, some of the things that we'd love to see in the bowling world, right? Well, and I think if I heard him correctly during that interview, one of the biggest things it seems for the esports world has been not only having a lot of eyes on their content, but having the right eyes on their content, right? Younger eyes on their content, et cetera. And, that seems to be an important part of the equation here.
Well, we kind of figured out the answer to where all the Saturday morning the kids went. They were playing they were playing online video games. I mean, seriously, and that was a big thing that we've talked about before and we've asked interviews is what separated the 60s and 70s of bowling, because that was the only thing really on TV on Saturday afternoon to watch, right? You have not only cable, right, with all these channels, but now you have the internet streaming platforms, right? Your Netflixes, your Hulus. Now you have your online video games, right? Before, when you were a video game, the only time you can get a decent video game was in the arcade, right? And guess where the arcades were? They were in the bowling alleys.
Yeah.
So that's where you got now, you don't have to leave your living room and you could play a PS4 and you can play for hours and hours instead of somebody going to a bowling alley and bowling a youth league, right? Or
play some video games afterwards, yeah.
Now with this whole professional gaming and these kids, they see these Twitches and how much money you can make off of professional gaming. It's becoming elite now because they have so many kids trying to make money and do this, play online games for profession, that now these, the sponsors jump in, right? Because they're like, we got to get on this, right? There's 1 million views of these Twitches and online streaming. And then it just is like a big snowball because, of the ratings and then the viewerships and then the social media. And, it's a whole new world, right? Where we have known nothing about. So it's great to hear Ray, who knows bowling, right? And he knows gaming. And bowling is where we want to get to. We want to get bowling to a gaming type level, right? And
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll ever get to that level. I mean, he explained the differences in situations there pretty well, I think. But listen, it would be nice to even see bowling make some positive steps anywhere towards where esports is, and it seems like it's going. You know, right now, Rob, like they're building an esports arena in Philly. You know, where all the other sports arenas are. They're building, and the Comcast is building an actual esports arena.
So wait, so if there's professional,
tens of thousands of people are going to come and watch. So
and they're going to boo too, and throw batteries, and do all the other things Philly people do.
Yeah, I know, all the stereotypical stuff.
I'm just saying, like, hey.
So yeah, listen, that was an excellent interview. He had some really awesome things to say. You know, great perspectives there from both sides of the coin. And like I said, you know, even if you're not a gamer, go check his stuff out. It's interesting, even just take a look at for a little bit and give a look.
Yeah, and amazing. So yeah, when that being said, take a deep breath here. We're gonna keep it moving for the people here.
As always, Rob.
All right, Rob. So that's what we got for the people tonight. You got any final thoughts here?
You know, it's good to see bowling a little bit coming back. Even Mike thinking about lacing up the shoes here in the next couple months as soon as as soon as the bowling alleys start open up. But yeah, you know, I just kind of feel like, you know, if you listen to that interview with Ray, it's amazing how quick online gaming came up, and I kind of feel like it's like going to be a huge deal for a while because of how good online gaming is, and hopefully bowling could get to that level. But yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, I'm good, Mike. It's really nice weather here. It's, you know, coming into the summer months, so just looking forward to you know, having a little bit of outside time here in Chicago.
Yeah, I thought the interview was really good. I think people should listen up to his comments. I love hearing from people that are, you know, not deep insiders to the bowling industry, right? Like his bread and butter is somewhere else outside of bowling. You know, he's closer to you and I than he is to a deep insider in the industry of bowling. And he had some really interesting, thought-provoking comments about the industry and comparisons between esports and bowling and differences. And you know, I honestly, I love having people on that aren't so deep in the industry. Rob, we have you know, the industry has the same lines a lot, right? Same views, same ways of doing things. I like to hear the outsiders' perspectives, you know, because you hear different thoughts, and I think that's kind of what you heard in that interview tonight. So, shout to Ray. We hope all is well with him. Rob, we love catching up with the people, right? As always, hit us up. Sweep the Rack on all social media. Sweep the Rack at Gmail. Hit us up. We love the emails. We love hearing from people. Rob, we had a couple interesting emails in the last week or so. You know, some heavy hitters in the bowling industry hit us up to let us know that we should stand behind our draft grades that we gave, right?
Yep.
And even not be afraid to put some racks on that, as I said. So, you know, always interesting in the inbox, Rob. I love going in our email inbox. So
it is.
Drop us a line. Let us know what's good. And, yeah, take care. Rob, I think we'll catch up with people pretty quickly here because we're trying to get some things out. We have a lot of content in store for the people.
Wednesday night, people.
Wednesday night too, that's right.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be going live. And Mike, like, we don't plan on being live for more than at least like 45 minutes, right?
No,
like,
we're not gonna be quick. No, we're not planning to have a guest as of right now. That might change. You know, sometimes people hit us up at the last second. Yeah. It's really for the people, Rob. We want to talk to the listeners, viewers. We want to bring people in. You know, we want USBC message board here on Sweep the Rack. Let's have the conversation. Let's talk. Let's have some debate. You know, even if your opinion is stupid, come on and I'll tell you so face to face.
Yeah, let's talk about that Walter post, right? I think that's something maybe we could ask the people about. Like, what do you guys think about tournaments that don't know how social distancing? I want to hear about people if they plan on bowling tournaments.
I don't know. We got to be
like
careful
you
there. That could get political pretty quick. So I don't know.
Hey, I mean, you know, look, man, I have the ability to mute and remove people from the stream. So hopefully I don't have to boot anybody but Mike.
Your brother will be one of them. Jeff will be one of them. You'll have to boot Jeff, undoubtedly.
I don't know if I'm gonna if it gets political. I don't know if I could. I'd have to get my mom on too, so they could clash a little bit, because that's how it goes in my family. But yeah,
man, sweep the rack as always, across the board. Rob, Wednesday night we'll see the people,
yes, sir.
8 p.m. Eastern.
All right, people. Talk to you guys soon.
Hit the music, son.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.